Hey guys, what's up? My name is Fudo Futures. Today we're going to be looking at a strategy that I traded over this past week. I do want to be very clear that I did take some losses throughout this past week, but these are only the specific trades where I traded this strategy and it ended up working really well with the trend of this past week. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I want to look at is this first trade I took on May 2nd. Okay, this trade was taken at 145, a little bit past 145, and you can notice I actually missed my entry on this trade. So my true entry was right here. And the reason my entry for this specific strategy occurs is I look for a break of structure. So if you don't know what a break of structure means, I look for liquidity to be grabbed. So you can see I have a line drawn at this high and this low on this current structure. We could say that, just looking to the left over here, this is our previous low, okay? So I look for this break. I look for a clean candle that forms a gap. All a gap means is two wicks or two bodies do not form, do not touch each other. And you can see I drew this gap right here. So you can see how right here, these gaps do not touch each other. So then I look for a strong candle close above those gaps. All right. So then if we look at this chart right here, we had two strong candle closes above these gaps. So that was actual confirmation. Luckily, I did not see this trade. I was not on the market. I was not aware of this happening, and I would have actually gotten stopped out because I always put my stop loss below the lows right here. So I actually would have gotten stopped out in this trade. However, I saw a second confirmation. So if you don't know, with my strategy, I like to add a contract each time there's a confirmation coming below the lows and not breaking this low, okay? So we can see that this did not break this low, so I would have added a contract here. However, this is where I entered my normal trade. My normal trade was entered around this point, and my take profit was at the liquidity grab up here, okay? However, I did exit this trade early, so I exited, I think it was right there for a 1 to 2. So this was the first trade. The whole strategy is just looking for these gaps. These gaps, no candle could have broken before this gap had formed, okay? So I need this gap to form that breaks this overall structure, right? So let's say this candle, if we look right here, if this candle would have wicked below this before, this would have been an invalid entry in my mind, okay? Unless that candle had a gap. So this was my overall trade. This was the first trade I took during this week. This ended up being a huge winner. And so let's go to the second trade, okay? So it's going to be a little bit scroll over. I think it was on May. Yep. So this was on, I had one on May 5th. Give me 1 second. Where was that at? Oh, I lost it. Okay, so this was on May 6th. All right. So this was a trade entry, and you can see I highlighted it this time. And if we look right here, same exact strategy, same exact thing happened before. If we look at the liquidity or the market structure where it broke the candle, we can see that we had a huge gap that formed below here. We look for strong candles to break above, which we did end up getting here. We see a strong candle break above. We actually broke up again. I forgot to add a contract on this one, but you can see where my trade entry was right here. My stop loss should be below here. I actually moved it to where it retested once and didn't get rejected off of it. And for this trade, I could have targeted way higher. Okay, I could have targeted up to this gap up here, this liquidity, or even this liquidity. However, I played this very safe. I traded for a 1 to 2 and came up to grab this liquidity up here. Okay, I could have targeted any one of these that I wanted to. All right, I aimed for the 1 to 2 because all these other ones would have given me too low of a risk reward, a 1 to 1, a 1 to 1.5, and a 1 to 2. Okay, that means if I risk $100, then I get 100 back, 150 back, and 200 back. All right. So overall, this was my second trade. Same exact entry. You're seeing a repetition of pattern here. Okay. Again, I think I had a like few $40 losses on this day. Then my third trade. Okay. My third trade actually came yesterday. This was my favorite entry out of all of them, all right? And the reason this was my favorite entry, this gave you a clear idea of how to take these trade entries, all right? So we can see that if I move this box left, look what we have. We have a low, a huge market structure low. So when I know that this has formed a lot of candlesticks beforehand, and this is breaking a very important low, then I can target, look at the gap right here, and I can target when it breaks above this gap, I could target a higher liquidity. And that's what I did. Now, I played this one safer. And the reason I played this one safer is we did have the confirmation on this highlighted yellow candlestick right here that I'm showing you. However, I wasn't feeling like I was getting the best risk reward. I was still somewhat bearish on this trade entry on the higher time frame, but we did see it break below. So I see it break below. You can see where I have the highlighted candlestick right here. And I saw a strong candlestick breaking back higher, and we never even really threatened this lower part, which I didn't really want to see it come down to. So I actually took a trade entry here. I put my stop loss at this previous structure below here. All right. And then I targeted the high of this liquidity because I saw a gap over here. So I targeted this gap up here. And this was my third entry that fit exactly with the strategy. Again, I took a few losses. It actually wasn't with the strategy. It was with one of my old strategies. Then we moved to the today. Okay. Today I made let's just say an error, a few errors. All right. So today, again, you can see some of the losses. I actually was targeting some trades. You can see this actually fit my strategy right here. However, it wasn't the best entry. So we can see that we had the gap that broke the structure right here. And you could see that this was the structural break and the wick actually broke this. Okay. So not already a little sketchy entry, but I did end up seeing my confirmation on this trade. So I'll highlight my confirmation candle right there. And you can see where I took my buy. All right. So I came back for the gap for the buy right here after I saw an engulfing candle. I took a buy, stop loss below here, and I actually targeted farther than I probably should have. I thought it was going to come up for these highs up here. I ended up getting stopped out on this trade. All right. Now, my mistake was we look over here. I actually took a few different trades. So I saw, we came down here. This isn't my strategy necessarily, but we did grab the low. And what I did see, if I move over to the 3-minute time frame, I can fix this. Where is it at? Oh yeah, 3-minute time frame. I actually saw my strategy form here. Was it 3-minute? 5-minute. Oh yeah, here you go. So I saw like a version of the strategy. Although we didn't have the gaps, we started showing a lot of 3 strong candlesticks in a row. All right. So if I highlight these are the 3 strong candlesticks. So let me go and highlight these quickly. And if you don't know, this is a different version. It's less reliable. But since I saw so much power coming into this market, I started having in my head, okay, where is liquidity that we can grab here? Okay. Well, I have an idea that we're going to come up and actually grab this area right here, which is a previous area that has been unmitigated. All that means is it hasn't been touched. Okay. This gap has not been touched right there. And so I actually targeted and took a scalp today. And this was probably my biggest win because I was very confident in this trade, even though it didn't fit my strategy. And you can see I took a scalp. After we broke down here, I took a scalp on the entry of the next candle, and I took a very close scalp, okay? Where is it? My average was probably around there. So I took a very close scalp. I targeted a low of this, expecting for it to be attracted to this area of liquidity up here, okay? And it ended up working out. And I was lucky because this could easily wick me out, but I thought it was a fairly good risk to take here. Now for the fun part today. All right. So I saw 2 trades. I don't know what I was doing here. This was just horrible trading. I was looking for a short, and I just was not confident on the short. I kept on feeling like I was getting, beaten by the market, confused by the market, again, over entries. However, we can see right here, I did take something that's a little bit against my normal strategy. But, since we weren't breaking as quickly as I thought we were, and actually what we did is we invalidated this kind of breakdown. This should have broken down immediately after forming this gap in my mind. We formed strong candlesticks and we started to hesitate. And after we hesitate, I noticed something. We weren't necessarily breaking down. And this comes back to a very old strategy. So I actually entered on the entry of this candle, entered a long right here, and I targeted the highs of liquidity. I actually targeted a little bit higher, I think, but targeted up to this gap. Closed the contract early, and this was my overall trade for this one. Okay, so I do end up this week. I'm still down after taking a heavy loss. I took a huge risk, but I'm up on the funded account around 100. I risked about $700. But for this week, I am up about $800, $900 just taking these 3 trades on the funded account. Okay. 4 trades that took out a lot of those like small, as you can see, hyper scalping. I don't know what I was thinking here type of trades. And again, this is just to be very transparent with you. Like I have entries where I enter immediately and I just say, no, this isn't working out. And I do exit. But yeah, hopefully this video was educational. If you did enjoy, just let me know. I'm going to try to do more of these kind of raw footage videos instead of streaming sometimes.